Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Workshop Wednesday. We've been going through, or we will be going through, the various elements of technical design. The last time we got together, I shared with you a little bit of the differences about what the role of a technical designer actually does with a company. So if you're an apparel designer versus a technical designer, what does that mean? And how does that function if you're working for a large brand or for a small brand or for yourself? So, regardless of whether you are a technical designer with a large company or with a small company, chances are you're going to be doing tech packs. And so, what we're going to do is we're going to take the time to go through page by page what a tech pack entails. So, whenever we did this some time ago, we kind of went through various templates. But what we're going to do this time is we're going to take the time to go through a platform that we have called Unique PLM. This is a product that's available through Gerber Technology, and it's something that we use in order to catalog and categorize all of our work. This is an incredible way for you to build relationships and communication with your factories and vendors, and to keep track of how styles are performing. So it's really important, even as a small brand, even as a small business, to start here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up and let you see all the amazing things that it has inside. So right now, what we're going to do is we're going to take a moment to look at the tech pack. So I'm going to take you through page by page just for a few minutes so you can see what that looks like. So I'm going to share my screen. I've already logged into the product lifecycle management software. So when I go into style and I go into style search, I go in and I look for a particular style that I can use to show you what some of these initial pages may look like. We'll try this jacket test style. So typically, whenever you open up a tech pack, you're going to always see some of the same things. This is a style that's being developed. It's a blazer. It's a one-button blazer. It's got a tab back, some interesting details on the sleeve opening, as well as the patch pockets. And one of the things that you're always going to notice when you go to build your tech pack, this is how the product lifecycle management software will kind of gather all of your data for you, and you'll kind of input different components perfectly what you want, because you'll want to keep track of everything that's happening on every style. But when you go to print your tech pack, you'll actually see these things show up on those title pages as well. So I'm going to go over it here. So what you're going to want to do is to go through the various different components here. You see where my cursor is tracking, and you're going to want to define what all of these various areas are. It's really important to be very clear about what these various areas are, primarily because you don't want to get confused in the future if a style does particularly well or doesn't do well. You want to be able to identify it quickly. It's also helpful for your partners to be able to recognize the product and style quickly as well. So let me show you the things that are part of this. So typically what you'll do is you'll select what kind of style it is. Because there's a lot of different divisions that Gerber Technology handles, they specify apparel. You will always see a style number associated with each style. So even if you change something as small as, let's say I want to go from one button to two buttons on the jacket, you're probably going to need a different style number. Maybe you want to change the shape or the placement of the pockets. Definitely need a different style number. Or say instead of doing princess seams on the jacket, you want to do a side panel. Absolutely a different style number, because now it's a completely different style. So what you'll do is you'll want to create a style number. A lot of times it just has, sometimes it includes letters. Sometimes it will indicate what kind of category the style is. So for example, when I used to design for American Eagle Outfitters, we had numbers that would lead the styles. And so I won't tell you what their styles are, but I will tell you that it was maybe a collection of a handful of numbers. And say if I was doing pants, it was a 6, or if I was doing jackets, it was a 4, or if I was doing dresses, it was, and so you get the idea. You would assign a different number or maybe even a different letter to the beginning of this style number in order to indicate what kind of style it was. Because when you get a list of all these numbers together, it may be hard to recall what those numbers correspond to visually. And a lot of designers are visual. So knowing your style numbers is really important. Then you'll want to put in a description for the style. So this one is just a test style. This is one of our administrators who is helping us learn the platform for the first time. But if I wanted to change the description, I would just type in the name, single breasted, one button jacket. Very easy to know what that is by the description that I've chosen. Be very careful with naming your jackets like the Greta jacket or the Laura jacket, which is really friendly for merchandising. But whenever you're trying to work on a collection, it can be really difficult to decide what belongs where. And does the Greta jacket have one button or two? It can be really confusing. So unless you have a very strong naming convention or a customer that's responding to a specific style named by a person, sometimes it's easier just to name your styles by actual components of things that you'll see on the jacket itself. Long sleeves, notched collar. There are various things that you can use to be able to denote what that description should be. Additionally, you'll want to make sure to highlight the style wear category. So this is outerwear. Sometimes you'll also want to be able to say what the size range is. O/S is about one size. And is it an alpha sizing where you have small, medium, large? Or is it numeric sizing where you may have 10, 12, and 14? So these are all things that are really important to be able to denote what things we could possibly expect to see inside of this tech pack based on the kind of sizing, based on the name and description of the style, and based on the style number itself. So of course we want to know what season is this for. One of the things that we're seeing increasingly is that we're seeing a lot of seasonless product, and which is really important in terms of how product is being designed. However, what we're referring to in terms of season is when does this product appear for sale, whether it's online, in store, maybe you do pop-up shops and markets, who knows? However, this is about when is a product intended to sell. So if this is the same jacket that's in a seasonless fabric, but you're introducing new colors in this season than in the previous season, you'll probably want to create a carryover of this style into the new season and then assign the new numbers that are associated with that product delivery. So for example, we would always say that we'd have, say in June, because it's warm outside, you've got maybe a bright red, maybe a white, and a nautical blue. But whenever fall rolls around, you may want to switch out your red for maybe a burnt orange or maybe a chocolate color. And so these are an opportunity for you to update. Once we go from season for summer, these are the colors that are available. But once we move into the season for fall, and these are the ones that we want to sell, these are the colors that are available. So these are become really important for us to be able to denote on the tech pack. First page, it's telling you so much already, what kinds of things you could expect. Some of these other pieces may or may not be available on the first page of the tech pack, depending on how you're working. But the garment wash and treatment may also be available. When the tech pack is due is typically more about what is on your development calendar, which is, when are certain items due in order for the product to make it to market on time or make it to your customer on time. But I've also seen this used to help the factory know when should they expect certain items. So if it's not a tech pack due date that's on the front page, sometimes the due date that you'll see will happen to be, what's the in-store date? What's the ex-factory date? So when does the garment need to leave the factory, or when does the garment need to be in the store? Two very different dates. So sometimes you may see that on the first page of the tech pack so that everyone involved knows what we're working toward. You'll know whether or not it's in progress, who the contact is, you'll always want to have the contact information on that first page as well. So whenever that prints, really on each page, the contact information for who the designer is that's responsible for that style will appear on the page so that should a question arise, someone can be reached out to quickly to be able to make assertive decisions that help people to continue to move forward. So this is really crucial and something that happens quite frequently during the product development process. So a technical designer, as you remember, I mentioned, this is the person who's helping to make sure that this entire process is smooth. It's so important that it remains a smooth process between the apparel design to the factory. Sometimes the mill needs to be contacted if a fabric isn't behaving correctly or if there's significant errors with the fabrics. All of these people have to be kept in the loop. Buyers and production managers, that technical design role is key, and the technical package is central to that communication. So all of these things are happening on the first page. But you know what? Probably the most important thing that's happening on that first page are the images. So we're introducing the style to the factory for the very first time. If you really want to look like a pro, you should use Illustrator to sketch out your designs. You can do them by hand and it is acceptable. However, whenever you work in our business, working digitally has its benefits. So if you need to make a quick correction, you don't have to draw the style all over or erase feverishly. You can make quick changes in your computer and send them back to the factory very, very quickly. So this is a front and a back sketch of the style. So it's really important to be able to communicate what that style looks like. We may even show a bent sleeve, where it looks like the arm is like almost doing the robot, where it's bending over. And the reason why we do that is for you to be able to see the detail as that sleeve is folded over. And what that looks like. So it's really important to be able to communicate as many of those details as you absolutely can. There appear to be a few additional style lines here that may or may not actually be stitches, but you'll want to be very careful about that so they don't get translated as a seam or a stitch whenever you get your samples back. A lot of the factories really rely on these pictures, so the more accurate you make them, the better your sample will be. So I believe that's all we have for today. This is going to go into your first page. We will get a chance to go through, if you see these here, we'll get a chance to go through all of these different areas, looking at the design image and the illustrations, the sketches and the technical drawings, some of the measurements and the bill of materials. And understanding some of the care and assembly instructions that are needed to be able to correctly build your tech pack. Additionally, you may also have a bill of labor and costing details that will help you with identifying, which will help you with creating a beautiful sample. So down here, the PLM system actually will generate a tech pack for you. And so you're actually able to use an existing template in order to pull all of your pages together that you've created. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. But we want to thank you so much just for joining us for this version of Workshop Wednesday. This is an exciting time for us because it's important for you to know all the different components of what it takes to work in our industry and what it takes to work in our industry virtually. So we will continue this series and we will see you next week.